Hi and welcome back. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and this is my channel where I talk about all my quilty stitchy things. And today is my weekly update, number 51, and it is Monday, February 5th, 2024. Now I know I normally do these on Sundays, I'm a day late, but you know, sometimes I make plans and then life has other plans. Life wins. So that's just what kind of happened. But let's talk about what I did. So I didn't get any quilting done this week on the long arm, and that was because, well, I went to my mom's on Friday. Because the long arm isn't here, it's at my mother's. So when I got there, she was upset about a binding she had did on this table topper. Now this was kind of like a star-shaped table topper, and I'll show you it in a minute. And she had asked me a week or two ago about binding. Because when she binds a quilt, she normally cuts the edges, the backing a couple inches, and folds it over, and that's how she does a binding. So she doesn't actually do a traditional binding. So when she asked me about this quilt, I'm like, just do a regular, just like you would normal. It'll be fine. Well, I wasn't really thinking she doesn't bind that way. So Friday when I got there, she was a little upset about the binding. So I took a look at it, took the whole thing off, and redid it. So that's what I did Friday instead of quilting, was redid the binding on Mom's table topper. So this is the table topper. Might need to stand up a little bit. Let me go back here and see. See, it's more of this like star-shaped. There we go. So it took me several hours to rip that binding off. And then I used her machine, which is a Bernina. I don't use a Bernina. I'm a baby lot girl. So I'm not familiar with her machine. It's the first time I've ever used it. And I wasn't happy how the backing came out, because I usually attach from the front, flip it over, and then sew stitch in the ditch along here. But because I'm not familiar with her machine's markings, binding wasn't so good. I needed to have more of a seam allowance when I stitched it on, and I did it. So I have this, and I didn't like it. It's on the back. So then I took it home, and I decided to hand stitch the back all the way around it. So it added more time. So no quilting got done, but I did that table topper for Mom. Just the binding. She had done the quilting and everything herself. So, what else did I do? Well, I did put the binding on 2 quilts this week. This one behind me is the first one. Now, this is a quilt that I had shown in my 200 plus quilt top series, and I had quilted it on the long arm a while ago. I just got the binding on this week, so we'll go in and take a look at it. We'll take a look at that quilting first of all. I used a paisley pantograph because some of those fabrics have paisleys in them. Let me scoot back here and see if we can get a bigger picture. There's the top. We're going all the way down. Let me see if I can find the label. And there's the label. Now I did just use that light gray binding on it. Fabric for a binding. Now I am not normally a green person. I mean, I don't have a problem with greens. It's just not something I normally gravitate to. But I really like this. I really like the color combination. Now this pattern, I believe, was called Dresden Coin, and it was from Missouri Star several years ago. Because this quilt top's just been sitting around for few years. Like I said, I quilted it last year. So put the binding on it now. Okay, so that was the first quilt top I quilted. Let's look at the second. I'm sorry, not that I quilted, that I put the binding on. Now we'll look at the second quilt that I put the binding on this week. Now this is the second quilt I put the binding on. I don't remember the pattern. I know it came from a quilt magazine. It's also the same quilt I did a short on several months ago after I quilted it. But there it is, and it's got that pale green binding on the edges of it. So we'll go in, take a closer look at it. So taking a look at the top, work our way down. Take a look at the label and the backing. There is the label, and there's that purple backing. And when I quilted, it's got this floral motif on it. And that's the second quilt that I put the binding on. Now, I just have a little question for everybody. Because as you all know, I have a lot of quilts. I make a lot of quilts. I sell some quilts. I give quilts away. And yes, I even donate quilts. But I still have a lot of quilts. I was wondering if anybody would be interested if I started giving quilts away on my channel. If that's something people would be interested for a giveaway or not. Just let me know in the comments below. Now, of course, that would have to be subject to only US because I don't have the money to ship outside of the US. So, that's what I did this week. So, my quilting total, I'm still at 5. Long way to go from that 50, but it's only February. And that brings my total, so I've finished or put the binding on 5 quilts. 3 I did this week, and the one wasn't even mine, but I'm still going to count it. Okay, so what else did I do? Well, I didn't do a lot as far as piecing, but I did do some. So, I worked on the Pressed Flowers Block of the Month from Sew Sampler. And I worked on, I think it was Block 10. Let me see what's the name of Block 10. Block 10 is Bluebell. So I did that. And this is Bluebell. And because I have the kit and the finishing instructions, I've done all the other 9 blocks into the finishing that I could so far. So, I'll show you that. If you don't want to see because you're a Sew Sampler member and don't want to know yet, look away. I'll tell you when you can look back. Alright, we're getting there. We're holding it up. Here we go. Alright, so that's the first 9 blocks. And then the 10 block is done. I just have to wait for the next 2 blocks and we can finish it. Then the other thing I did was I worked a little on this. Meet the Makers. This is a Riley Blake kit that I'd had several years ago. I'd bought several years ago and I just started working on it. So I am working on these alternate blocks, which are kind of these blocks right here. This one and this one. And there's 25 of them. And they're all in different colors. And, well, I'm not going to pull each one out because, as you can see, it's just a mess. I've got it all organized in there. But that's pretty much all I did as far as sewing, quilting, piecing this week. Let me show you my cross stitch. So I've been working on this gigantic cross stitch. Looks like this. And I got basically the center, all of this done, and I am working on the last row. So this week I finished this motif, which is stay humble, work hard, be kind. And I just started working on this one. Life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forwards. So this is a giant piece of 14 count Aida that I'm working on. And this is where we are. So I just have to finish this one, and then I got 2 more down here to do. And my crochet project. I have been working on this cardigan. I'll show you the picture. So I have all of the cardigan pieces made. I'm just now where I have to sew all the pieces together. There it is. Here's the cardigan I'm working on. I just have to start sewing all these pieces together, and then I have to do like this button hole trim area right there. So hopefully I can do that this week. That is the back panel. This is this panel. That's the left panel. This is a sleeve. The right panel. The other sleeve. And this is supposed to be like a neckband. So I have to sew all those together. So what else did I do this week? Well, I took a little shopping trip. Saturday, I went down to a place in Vevey, Indiana, which is a few hours from here. And I went there because there was this quilt shop I had heard about. It's been a while ago, well over a year ago I heard it. Well, I went there this weekend and they have fabric for $5 a yard. Now they do have some fabric that's $6 a yard, but the most of it's $5 a yard and $10 a yard for backing. Now, of course, none of it is like the brand new lines coming out, but that's okay. So I took a little shopping little shopping trip down there and bought some stuff. I'll do another video all about that. Also, well, you know, got this book for free from Fat Quarter Shop for being a Sew Sampler member a few weeks ago. So I was looking at it. There's a lot of fabric in here. So I pulled some from my stash, and then I decided to go shopping. I had a $50 gift card for Hobby Lobby, and their fabric was 40% off. So I decided to go there and bought a bunch of fabric. So I have all the fabric needed to make that. Of course, it's not going to be any of this fabric. It's going to be my own fabric, but that's okay. And let me show you. I have this giant box all stacked in there, ready to go, so I can do that rose and bloom quilt. Let me know if you want me to do a video and I'll pull all these fabrics out. Show you what I'm using. Alright, so that's everything for this week. Till next time, bye. Oh, and this week I plan on starting that What We Make series with the Jelly Roll. Alright, till next time, bye.